Welcome to The Experience, live with Russ and Scott. Join us every Wednesday at 7 a.m. Pacific, 10 a.m. Eastern on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook. Learn more about the Experience community at our website, local.theexperience.video, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. The Experience is brought to you each week by these great sponsors. Kelly Capital is your local insurance agent in and around Monmouth, Oregon. Contact her for personal, business, and farm insurance. And talk to Kelly about financial planning. Give her a call at 503-375-2679. Haugen's Gallery Portrait Studio. Call Miriam at 503-838-5416 or visit online at haugensgallery.com. Ironhead Roofing, veteran-owned and the most trusted roofing company in Oregon. Contact them for a quote today for residential or commercial roofing. 541-209-0547, online at ironheadroofing.com. The Aspects of Aging weekly talk show with Christine A. Smith. Unscripted conversations with experts. Watch live or replays at agingbetterNetwork.com. And now let's get on with the show.
Let's do this. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to The Experience Live with Russ and Scott. We are so glad to have you. You know, we're here every Wednesday, 7 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time and 9 a.m. Texas Standard Time for your viewing and listening pleasure. And Scott, always a blessing to be with you.
And I just get to hang out with you twice a week on Mondays and Wednesdays. Here it is, Wednesday, the middle of the week. Just a great time to get together. We've got a wonderful guest, Mike Handcock, today. But all of this is made possible because people choose to give. They can go to the local.theexperience.video and contribute. We got a little tip jar there, if you will. And we've got our great sponsors, Kelly Capital at Country Financial, Christine Smith and the Aspects of Aging, Miriam with Haugen's Gallery, beautiful stuff, and Ironhead Roofing, which if you tune in on Monday to the Experience Local, you get a chance to enter. If you comment, you get a chance to enter into a drawing. And Russ, you've got a video for that.
Thank you, Ironhead Roofing, our new gift sponsor for this special $500 off a new roof. Take advantage today. And we just want to remind everybody that's for their service area, which is the Willamette Valley, all the way to the coast, to Portland, down to Eugene. And if you need a new roof or you have a friend that needs a new roof, you need to tune in Mondays at 9 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time or 11 a.m. Texas Standard Time to get a new roof, because I'm telling you, it is a great value, $500 off. And they're a great sponsor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, eventer owned. So make sure you use them. Well, Russ, what have you got going on this week?
Well, I'm telling you, it's been a blessed week so far. We have sunshine here in Oregon and loving that. Been out enjoying the outdoors, not only walking like I do every day, but also out doing a little bit of yard work because it's been so nice. So I've been spending just a little time out there. It's been just really a great week. It was a short week because Monday was a holiday here, and really had a great time with family, Scott, because, you know, we always go to visit the cemeteries where our loved ones, our families is, and we saw other family while we were there. And so I got to go to where my parents are and, well, where their grave is, not where they are. We know where they are, but
that's right.
But, and then also my, Leah's family, her grandparents and aunts and uncles and all of that. We visited them and it was great. Yeah.
Oh, that's
How about
fabulous.
you?
Yeah, you know, it's just been great. I had a recording. We did a recording of a podcast or a radio show, my show, The Experience, the Waco Experience, and did that over at the Baylor Club. That's in McLean Stadium on Baylor's campus. And so it's fun because I get to sit out on the patio, the deck, in the loge seating, overlooking the field. A fabulous place to record. Came back and recorded 2 episodes of 2 different podcasts with Greg Stevens. So it's just that was fun. And we've just got tons of stuff going on, winding down the month, looking forward to what's going to happen in June.
Well, I can tell you, it's hard to believe that it's almost June. But, besides being blessed to be able to spend this time with you every week, a couple days a week, I love coffee. You know that. And I had I have coffee meetings every week because it's my favorite way to meet. And I had a wonderful meeting yesterday with our good friend, Buddy Puckett.
Hmm.
And we had coffee yesterday. It's great to get together with people who love the Lord and people that you have a lot in common with.
Hmm.
And so we had a really, really good time yesterday. So just love things like that. But speaking of people we love to hear from, we've got Mike Handcock on today. We got to get things started to get him on. Just want to remind everybody before we get rolling that once again, if you want more information on us, go to local.theexperience.video. Love for you to join our YouTube page because it's growing. You can get there from local.theexperience.video or go straight to the experience.video. We'll take you directly to our YouTube page. Love for you to subscribe to that. We're growing and we're trying to get the community more engaged. So thank you for doing that. Also, just want to remind you that not only are we sponsor supported, but as we talked about before, we are also listener supported. So there'll be information in the comments and you can scan this QR code and you can give to this. We call it a ministry, but you give to our effort to get positive words out there, positive people and value like Mike Handcock, who's with us today.
Yep,
And
I'm looking forward to Mike coming in because
yep,
we often talk about isolation being the killer, and that you need to surround yourself with those who will not let you fail.
that's right.
And Mike's going to bring some practical things that we can do and
That's right.
some inspiration. So I'm looking forward to hearing from
All
Mike.
right. Well, here he is, Mr. Mike Handcock. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning, Scott. Good morning, Russ. How are you guys? Boy, oh boy, do you have a lot of power and influence. I got to tell you, I'm so excited to be here. What you guys are doing is great, really great.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Mike. We appreciate you. And you know what? We want to start off with the basics because we're so glad to have you here. We know you're doing amazing things, but give everybody a little snapshot. Who in the world is Mike Handcock and what are you up to?
That's a very good question, one that changes daily. So I'm the chairman of an organization called the Circle of Excellence Group of Companies. We exist because we help people who are conscious leaders to play a bigger game. We have clients in more than 50 countries around the world. We've been going 19 years. And we work with leaders to really get inside their heads to show them that, obstacles are nothing but mere roadblocks, kick them out of the way and leave the world in a much better place than you found it. That's the significance of what we do. And there's a whole lot of stuff behind that, but that's the overview.
And so you also have some books, including a book on the Circle of Excellence. So let's go a little bit deeper into that and explain to people what this means and how they can benefit from that.
Well, that's actually, thanks for asking that, Scott. That's actually a really good book. It was last year, I think, that we decided that we would reach out to a number of our clients who had done some really great things. And our clients are ordinary people who are becoming extraordinary. So, I was doing a webinar this morning. It's afternoon my time at the moment. I was doing a webinar this morning and, one of the people on the webinar asked a question, and his question was, what if I have imposter syndrome? And my answer was, his name is Richard. And I said, hey, everybody, this is Richard. He's been a client of ours for 10 years. He used to be a DJ on a Cape Town, South Africa radio station. He's currently listing his company on the New York Stock Exchange. Do you think he should feel like an imposter? And so when we reached out to people like Richard to be in this book called The Circle of Excellence, we sort of wrapped chapters around that of what are the fundamental things that you need to do as an entrepreneur in order to maximize, your imprint, if you like, on the planet. And then we salt and peppered that with around about 20 of our clients and their stories. So it's a book that's really inspirational. It's I think you can buy it on Amazon for $4 or $5, so it's not expensive. It's a book that's inspirational. It's a book that gives you great guidance as an entrepreneur, because you won't find Lundy, my wife, and I as people who I don't have a business plan. We don't have to-do lists. She doesn't even have an email address. Yet we've got 5 companies and they work globally. So we do things a little different and we think about life a little different. And, you know, Russ, you talked earlier on about your coffee meetings and the fact that, you know, they allow you to meet up with people who express your faith. Well, you know, we share the faith in the fact that there's something a lot bigger than us out there, and that's got our back.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that when we get a good perspective, I'm all about the power of perspective in life, and we get a good perspective. You're right. There's something a lot bigger than us out there. And life isn't all about us. We are so much better together. And this whole idea of influence and bringing people into your circle that will really affect your life in a positive way is what helps drive you to what you want to accomplish. So many business leaders are frustrated, somewhat lost, and by getting involved with people that are already achieving excellence and doing great things, it helps them along the way, right?
Absolutely.
And I asked you that right as you were drinking. Sorry about that.
No, it was good. It was perfect. See, I dodged it. I just didn't quite get the glass to my mouth. You know, if people want to be in that environment, then they can go to one of our websites, which is circleofexcellence.club, circleofexcellence.club, and join a club that we have. But what you brought up in me as I was thinking there, I was thinking, oh, well, I should tell you guys in the audience about the 7 levels of spiritual development. And so the 7 main levels of spiritual development, there's actually 9 levels, but 2 of them are, we don't need to dig into on this call. But the first level is the level of safety. There's around about, I believe, 2.6 billion people in that level on the planet. People who are unsure where they're going to sleep tonight, what they're going to eat, or how they're even going to survive through the day. 2.6 billion of them. Then comes the next level, the thinking level. The thinking level is all about how do I get a better job? How do I make an extra $50 a week? How can I buy a better car? How can I get a better house? How can I get a better spouse, right? So that level of thinking is where people are all in their minds, and around about 95% of the Western world is in that second level. The third level is really where you guys are targeting people. And that is, well, third and fourth level, really. The third level is about self-definition. It's when people start asking the question, who am I and why am I here? What's my purpose on this planet, right? Surely I wasn't born to just sit on the couch and watch, you know, Oprah. And my question is, why were you born in that country at this time in history? What's the purpose of that? The fourth level is that you realize, hang on, and this is where you were alluding to, Russ, this ain't about me, this life. This is about what I can give and who I can love. And I think the more that we as a species can focus on what we can give and what we can love, the better off this world's going to be. The fifth level is flow, and flow is really about when you stop having to do so much and things just come to you. It's the sort of area that you probably see like a Richard Branson or, you know, somebody like that, in where they don't seem to do much, but everybody's bringing them opportunities. The sixth level is consciousness. That's when you get to a point whereby, not that you realize, because I think a lot of people realize, oh, we're all connected, but you actually live that connection, and you know that, you know, if you're out kicking dust off the balcony of your apartment, you're probably choking the person below you. So that's consciousness. And then the seventh level is source energy. And that's, you know, that's really tapping into the greater universe, the greater good, God, whatever you choose to believe in, depending on your beliefs. And so I think what I'm saying to our listeners is that this is a level that we can, it works in a spiral. And the thing about spirals is that as you're trying to get up that spiral, often you fall back. So when you're trying to move out of thinking, trying to get out of your head and into who am I and why am I here, because that's a much bigger purpose, you constantly fall back into, oh, but I've got to earn an extra $50 a week, until you finally get to that point where you go, I don't care whether I earn a $50 extra a week or not. I need to know who I am and why I'm here. Then you're in that third level. And, that's our challenge as a human species. We're just spirits having a human experience.
It's great that you talk about the purpose. And I think people need to spend more time on discovering what their purpose is, because we talk a lot about goals. You need to set goals, you set goals and stuff, but then you achieve those goals, and then what, right? But if you understand your purpose, you know that your goals fall out of your purpose. And as you either achieve those goals or you determine that's not a goal that's relevant to my life anymore. So I'm really interested in looking at these different groups that you have, these different clubs, and how people would go from like the second to the third level and so forth through the processes that you guys offer.
Sure. Well, firstly, Scott, I think you've got to change your title, because you just went from motivational listener to motivational speaker, because everything you said was really great and it's really helping people. Look, I think that there are 5 levels of the game, and let's call it a game, because life can be a game. And the way I'll talk about it is to use a sport that sort of everybody understands, and that's soccer. It's a global sport, so it doesn't matter if you don't live in North America, you understand it. It doesn't matter if you don't live in Australia, you understand it. So when you start to play any sport, it doesn't matter what sport it is, but let's take soccer as an example. You pretty much go and find a ball, you go to the park, you find a couple of old cans, you put them down, and then you try and kick the ball through the cans, and that's what you try and do. And then at some point you go, actually, I really like this game. This game's quite good. Maybe I can join a club. I'll join a club. And then you go along to a club and you become part of that club. And suddenly you find at the club there are other people who have similar interests to you. And there's a bit of a coach who used to be a member of the club. Maybe he or she were pretty good, and they give you a few pointers, and away you go. Then you look at the third level and you go, hang on, there's a person at this club who everybody takes really seriously. They tend to win all the trophies, but not only are they winning the trophies, they are getting paid by the club. They're getting paid to turn up. They're getting paid to petrol money, or maybe sometimes they even get a house or something like that. And then some of those people end up being professional soccer players, or footballers, as they call it in the UK, and they become a Wayne Rooney or somebody like that, a household name in their country. And then the 5th level is international, where they become a Lionel Messi or a David Beckham or something like that. And this is literally a game. And you will see it because we make choices in our minds what level of game we're going to play this game at. So when we find that we are, for instance, joining a club, we'll go to work on a Monday, but nobody actually knows that we play soccer on the weekend. So they just go, oh, you play soccer? That's interesting. So it's fascinating for me when you see people at a networking event and they tell you what they do, and you go, oh, I've known you for years and I didn't know you did that. That means they're playing at club level. That means they need to lift their game. And I think the aim for everybody is to get to the professional level, because when you're at a professional level, you move from really paying to play to getting paid to play. And you move from spectator to participant. And so if you look at the people who are on the ground, the people who are playing the game, they've got the coaches, they've got the sponsorship deals, they've got the great kit, they've got the money, etc. And everybody sitting around them is paying them in one way. They're buying their hot dogs, they're watching them on TV, they're paying to see them. And you want people paying to see you. And that's why you've got to lift yourself out of the whole thinking, how do I make an extra $50, to saying, I'm going to do something great for this world, and I want to live the best life I can. I had a guy on a call this morning, and then I'll give it back to you guys, because I know I've been speaking for ages here, but I wrote this down if I can find it, because I thought it was brilliant what he said. And is that it? Yep, there he said, this guy's been running a company for 35 years, and it's a leadership company. And when I asked him, what do you do? He answered me like, oh, no, we help build leaders, blah, blah, blah. I said, what do you really do? He said, our company builds character. And I went, that is phenomenal. What leadership company in the world's building character these days? That's why he's been around for 35 years.
And I'll let Russ pick it up here, but first I just want to say that it's all about that mindset. And you talked about going from the club to the professional level, and I think it's that attitude that says, when I go to an event, I'm on the stage, not in the audience. Right? Absolutely. That's a mindset that goes into that. And Russ, I'll let you pick it up.
Well, one thing I just really got out of what you're saying, and Scott, I totally agree with that, the whole mindset thing, is first off, really knowing why you do what you do, and leadership is so critical, and I can tell you right off the bat, I'm here to inspire and encourage people. That's why I'm the inspiration specialist. No matter what I'm doing, I'm trying to inspire people, encourage them to be better, to live their best life now. And I love the choice that you talked about. Life is filled with so many choices, and we can choose to excel and get around a circle of great influencers, or we can choose to sit back and let life pass us by. And I think every day we wake up, Mike, we make that choice, and we have to move forward. And if we want good things to happen, we have to choose it, right?
We definitely do. And I think people think that life happens to them. But what I've found personally is that, I was talking to a lady this morning. I've talked to a lot of people today already, but this lady now lives in Vanuatu. It's a small island in the middle of the Pacific. One of the reasons that she lives there is because she was the victim of a hostage situation in her country, where the people who did the hostage taking threw petrol into a house and tried to burn her and the other people alive in that house. That ain't a good situation. And she said to me, it's not what happens to you, it's what you do about it that counts. So she's used that to create a whole process based on how she used her mind at the time to get through that situation. One other time she was held at gunpoint, to create a resilience framework that she now teaches to companies. To me, this is a lady totally in her flow.
Yeah, that I love what you just said there too, the resilient framework. We have to learn to be resilient and work through all the things that are happening in our life, because, everybody who hasn't figured this out yet in their life, we have to go through so many things, good and bad, but how they shape us, how they mold us, how they make us better is so critically important. And back to my comment before about influencers around you, as you're walking through life, you are the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. And I love that quote by Jim Rohn. And that is so true, because when we get around people that are influencing us to excel, do great things, to move forward and make a difference in the world, make an impact, those things are going to happen if we put ourselves in the company of people like Mr. Mike Handcock, right, Mike?
Well, yeah, I think you guys are 2 of the 5 people that people should be hanging around with. And I so love that you attributed that to Jim Rohn, because everybody says Tony Robbins said it, but he nicked it off Jim Rohn. So it's definitely a Jim Rohn statement, that one. But it's 100% true. So a lot of people, the problem for them is that they're surrounded, I call it a poverty network. They're surrounded by a poverty network, and that poverty network is full of 3 distinct types of people: doomsayers, doubters, and distractors. So a doomsayer, oh, the sky is falling, that whole Chicken Little thing. A doubter, what do you mean you're going to do that? You're not qualified, you didn't go to university to do that. And then there's a distractor, don't worry about that, let's go play golf, right? And the thing is that often those people at their worst are some of your closest friends and family. You grew up with them, and sometimes they're doing that because you're outgrowing them and they don't want you to outgrow them. And so you've got to keep it in check. You've got to have a system. Like, I have a friend that's one of those people. I mean, I've totally outgrown him. I love him to bits, but I've totally outgrown him. But every time I see him, I don't tell him what I'm doing. I don't say, oh, hey, we're off to Japan next month for business, and then we're heading to, Canada and blah, blah, blah. I don't say that because he doesn't travel. He's never been out of his country. Actually, once, I think, in his whole life. He's the same age as me. I don't say to him, hey, we just won this award or anything like that. I talk to him about his interests, and I laugh with him about what he finds funny, and I really enjoy that. But I don't have to be with him every single day. But I'm not gonna ditch him as a friend. I just set a different place at the table for him.
One of the books, in addition to Circle of Excellence and the others that you've written, I often recommend Tribe of Millionaires to people. And I don't know if you're familiar with that book, but it does use a mythical story, made up story, to explain the power of masterminds. And that is, for people who are not familiar with the concept, it's really peer mentorship. And one of the examples that they go through in the book is they ask this lead character, who his friends are, and then estimate what do they earn every year. And it's not about money, but it's the example. And he says, okay, now average that out. He goes, I bet that's what you earn, right? And we can look at the same thing, and you can say, all right, let's look at your 5 friends. Which ones have made an impact in the community? Which ones have changed lives? Which ones, when they're on their deathbed, are going to look back and say, wow, I did the right things? And so can you just expand a little bit about the masterminds that are available and how people can get involved?
Well, we do them on and offline. Thank you, Scott, for asking the question. We started doing masterminds back in 2017. Actually, our first one we ever ran was in Florida. And we ran them because previously we'd run a lot of big events. And big events are great. They're a lot of fun and, people get good value. But the problem is we never get to really know the participants. So my wife and I said, because we work very closely together, we said, why don't we run some micro events? So we came up with the concept of masterminds, and you explained the concept there. Ours is a little different than that, but it's fundamentally the same. And since 2017, we've run more than 350 of them now in more than 20 countries. We've run one in Casablanca. We've run one in Cairo. We've run them in Kuala Lumpur. We've run them in Singapore. We've run them all over the place. And the fundamental aspect that I love about it is that the way in which we do it is we start off by allowing everybody to pitch their business or their idea and get feedback on it. And I mean, how many times in your life do you get to pitch your business or your idea and actually in a session where people have got your back and it's a loving space and get feedback? People are blown away by the feedback. I mean, we get so much feedback on the feedback. So that's great. And then in the second part of the mastermind, we take a break, but before the break, we basically say, what are some of the issues, macro or micro, that you're dealing with? And we can talk about anything. And, we've had the most micro things, like I'm bringing out a book, should it have 12 chapters or 15, to something macro, like I'm investing in property in Spain. Do you know anything about the tax laws in Spain? Because I'm not a resident. So we've never had a question that hasn't been answered in 3 hours in a room. Ever. Over 350 of them. And people have gone away with some just amazing things. In fact, it was just this morning, and I'll read this to you because this is not about our masterminds. This is about how powerful masterminds are. We got this come in, and it says, this is from a client of ours. Her name's Sylvia. And she says, hope you're both doing amazing. Should you run another event in Johannesburg, please add us to your invitation list. I attended an event years ago, and everything that was shared at that event came true for me. It's such a powerful event to reposition and align yourself and your business to take advantage of the future. I mean, and that's why masterminds work. That's why they're great. So we do them both on and offline. And when you go to our main website, which is circleofexcellence.biz, B-I-Z, you'll see a place there called services, and you'll see there's 5 levels on there to go with the 5 levels of the game that people want to play. And at the top level, they can work with my wife and I. We work with people for years, and we bring our whole A team and revolutionize their business. But at the second level, this is where you can come to a mastermind and do something like that, whether it be online or offline. And you just have to let us know that you want to come to one, and we'll make it work for you. And you come in and be part of something like that, and you'll find it a really good experience. It's very reaffirming and very challenging at the same time.
Yeah, so good, so good. Huge fan of masterminds. And you know what? I wish we could keep talking because you have so much value, Mike. We could keep on going, but our time is up. So being the responsible host, I need to bring it to a close. And what we need from you today is, what is your gold nugget of the day? What do you really want people to remember from our discussion today? And how do people get in touch with you?
Well, I think the one thing that's ringing with me today is it's not what happens to you, it's what you do about it that defines your life, okay? And you can either contact us through our website, circleofexcellence.biz, or send me a request on LinkedIn. And I'm very active on LinkedIn. I've got about 26 or something thousand people on LinkedIn. So Mike Handcock, Handcock.
Perfect. And all that information is on the screen. It has been ticking along the bottom of your LinkedIn. And also, everybody, it is clickable also in the show notes. So you can just click on it and go right to Mike. And today we would highly recommend that because he has got so much value to add. And Mike, I appreciate you so much for being here today. We're going to have you back on sometime because you've got so much value. We need to keep exploring. So
and your partner, your wife there.
Yes.
I know you definitely should have her on. You'd love her. She's much
That's
smarter.
it. We'll have to bring you both on. That would be so great. So,
but
all right.
Well, we can't email her though. So
no, you can't.
Well, Mike, thanks so much for being here today. We're going to send you the green room. Hang tight, though. We'll be right there. And we appreciate you. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
Bye, everyone.
Yeah, just I'll just say, wow, that was powerful, right? We talk about inspiration, but we had some power today. And I know that people listening out there say, nobody has ever literally thrown gasoline into my house and tried to burn me alive or held me at gunpoint. But I guarantee you that someone has done that figuratively in your life, trying to damage what you've done, try to intimidate you. And there are ways around that. But you can't do it yourself. You can't go alone. You need to find support. And I encourage masterminds, or at least a good friend like Russ Hedge.
Or D. Scott Smith. And you do need to get around people that are not going to let you fail, that are going to help rise you, because a rising tide lifts all ships. Get around people that are on the move up, people that are on the move forward, that will help you. And I'm telling you, Scott, it's always a pleasure to be with you, my friend, because you are that way for me.
Russ. Always great to hang together. And hey, I'll be in Oregon in July. Come on. So just skip
when in July are you coming? What part of July?
Middle of the month. We'll be there 18th, 19th through the 24th. We got here's the thing. It's our 45th high school reunion, Corvallis High in Crescent Valley. There in Corvallis. And then I'll be down at the University of Oregon for Uplift Leadership's Career Summit. And that's for high school and college students. So you can go to upliftleadership.org to learn more about that.
Well, Mr. Scott, you and I will have to talk because hopefully we can get together on the 18th, because the rest of the time you'll be in Oregon. I'll be in Boston and Maine with my beautiful wife for her 60th birthday. We're flying back east. So, we'll talk about that.
Oh, fabulous.
Anyway,
all right.
So great to have everybody here today again. And don't forget, we are so thankful for our sponsors here, that Country Financial, Kelly Capel, Ironhead Roofing, Haugens Galleries, and Aspects of Aging. And don't forget also that we're listener supported. Not only does that QR code get you straight to being able to give to this effort to get positive words out, but also in the comments, you'll find the link to go there as well. And we're here every Wednesday, 7 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time for your viewing and listening pleasure. That's right. We may be done live, but guess what? It sits on LinkedIn and YouTube forever and Facebook for 30 days. You can watch the video podcast, still engage, still share. After that, it becomes an audio podcast. So you can go to Spotify and listen to us while you're getting ready for work, while you are jogging, whatever you might be doing. So glad that you're here and engaged today. Thanks so much for being here. We'll be back next Wednesday, 7 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time. And until then, enjoy life and enjoy
the experience.
Woohoo!
Thanks for tuning in to The Experience live with Russ and Scott. If you enjoyed today's show, please share it with others, post about it on social media, or subscribe on YouTube. See you next time.